Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Yet another episode of Crushing Fantasy Football. I am Brett Locker, your host of the show. All right, guys, I am here with my buy low trade target segment. This is going to be one of my most important segments this entire season because, well, we need to take advantage of players that are coming off bust weeks because we know that people tend to overreact, especially in week one. So I've got a list here of 7 players. I was going through, all of the players in fantasy football that had a bad week one or didn't perform up to expectations in week one. And I came up with the 7 biggest players that you need to target in the trade market right now because they're still going to explode and their week one performance really wasn't very good. So I am going to start right here with the very first player on my list, Jamir Gibbs. Now, Jamir Gibbs obviously played on Thursday night in a primetime game. A lot of people watched him play and were disappointed because they expected fireworks right out of the gate with the Lions-Chiefs matchup that probably wasn't as high scoring as a lot of people expected. But look, Jamir Gibbs was still extremely efficient when he had the ball in his hands. It's just that David Montgomery handled the bulk of the carries. Look, you can say the same thing about Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson got out-carried by Tyler Algier in week one. Look, these teams that invested super high draft capital in running backs are going to use them. They did not draft them in the first round to not make them the main workhorse in their offense. But they also don't want to get them hurt in week one. Week one can be a little bit fluky in that regard. We saw it with Breece Hall last year, right? He started the season getting outworked as far as his overall workload by Michael Carter, right? And a lot of us that knew what we were doing, we didn't think that was really going to last. And then what happened? Breece Hall absolutely exploded before he tore his ACL. Right? And that started in about week 4. So, it might take a few weeks for these guys to get going, but they could still be elite fantasy weapons, and I very much think that they will be. Jamir Gibbs is going to fall into that category. He might get outworked by David Montgomery next week or even the week after that, but as we get more and more into the season and these games become really pivotal, they're going to use Jamir Gibbs. He's the better overall weapon. He's going to be the more efficient back as far as yards per carry efficiency. We know that he's going to be the main pass-catching back. And even if David Montgomery does steal some goal line work from him, this is going to be a highly efficient offense that is in the red zone offense. So Jamir Gibbs has high touchdown upside as well. Don't worry about the fact that Montgomery out-carried him in week 1. In fact, take advantage of this and try to buy low on him while you can, because if he explodes in week 2, it's going to be too late. Next player on my list is going to be Darren Waller. Now, Darren Waller was part of the bad end of a 40-0 onslaught from the Dallas Cowboys over the New York Giants. This game was extremely sloppy, but Darren Waller did lead the team in overall receiving yards, sadly, with 37 receiving yards. But the fact of the matter is, every time the Giants were in a high leverage situation, a third and short, a third and long, whatever, they were targeting Darren Waller, right? Because they were looking for their best weapon in order to move the chains. I mean, that's what they're going to do this year. Darren Waller is going to be by far and away the number one target in this offense, okay? And I still think the offense is going to be good despite the fact that they look terrible in week 1. It's week 1. The rainy field conditions definitely didn't help. I wouldn't worry about this. Darren Waller is going to be the main target in this offense, and I still think that this offense has some ability to be pretty good this year, at least a little bit above average. Darren Waller is going to get the target share. We know he has the talent, 6'6", 260-pound monster that runs a 4.4. This dude is one of the biggest athletic specimens in the entire league. Take advantage of his, not so good performance really in week 1 and try to buy low on him before he explodes. Next player on my list is going to be George Pickens. Deontay Johnson is going to be out for a month with the hamstring injury. I would make sure to take advantage of this because, you look at the Steelers team, how they're going to move the ball, right? They have Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren in the backfield, right? And obviously they're going to get a decent workload, both of them. But this team is going to have to pass the ball to somebody, right? And at this point, they have Pat Freiermuth and George Pickens, okay? From a talent standpoint, who's the better pass catcher? George Pickens. Even when Deontay Johnson is in the lineup, who's the best pass catcher on the team? George Pickens. This dude makes highlight reel catches. We've seen it. He has tremendous talent. Kenny Pickett favors him as far as all the pass catchers on the team. By a long shot, take advantage of the fact that the Steelers weren't good in week 1. Buy low on George Pickens. While Deontay Johnson is not in the lineup, he's going to be an absolute monster. And even when Deontay Johnson comes back, if George Pickens goes off this next month and the team sees that they have success targeting George Pickens as the main weapon in their offense, they're going to continue to feed him all season long. I could see this being a blessing in disguise for the Steelers and for George Pickens, and he could end up exploding. Buy low on him while you have the chance. Next player on my list is going to be Jamar Chase. Obviously, Jamar Chase was drafted with whoever has him on their team as their first overall pick. So when you're targeting Jamar Chase as a buy low trade target this week, you've got to be trying to get him from somebody who really doesn't know what they're doing, because anyone who really knows what they're doing isn't going to sell Jamar Chase just from having a bad week 1, considering the track record that he has and how much hype he had coming into the season. So if you're targeting Jamar Chase in the trade market as a buy low trade candidate, he's going to be harder to get than anyone that I have on this list. And you've really got to be targeting him from a fantasy player that really does not know what they're doing. If so, it's probably not going to work. But if somebody in your league notoriously makes bad mistakes when it comes to trading or just clearly doesn't know what they're doing, try to target Jamar Chase. They might be stupid and give him up after the Bengals looked absolutely terrible in week 1. Next player on my list is going to be Josh Jacobs. Now, this is a guy who I really wasn't that high on going into the season, but I was actually very pleased with what I saw from Jacoby Myers in week 1. And so, I might have a little bit more hope for the offense than I did coming into the season when I was saying they're going to be one of the worst offenses in the NFL. They still might be, but they might be a little bit better than expected. And if they're actually able to move the chains a little bit and provide some touchdown upside, Josh Jacobs can be awesome. We know that this was the third best running back in PPR formats last year. He absolutely exploded, had over 1,600 rushing yards, led the league in rushing. This dude was absolutely awesome last year for fantasy. And if the team can move the ball a little bit better than I expected, I think that Josh Jacobs can be awesome. Obviously, the efficiency was not good in week 1, but he did have a really good workload. And in a league where, it's really just hard to find workhorse running backs that get that true workhorse volume and don't have any competition for touches in their backfield, Josh Jacobs can be incredibly valuable just because of the volume that he's getting and the fact that his team is going to maybe be moving the ball a little bit better than expected because they do have two pretty darn good pass catchers in Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers. So I think this upside, I think I underestimated this offense a little bit coming into the season. I still think that they're going to be under average, but I think they might be a little bit better than expected. And if they're moving the change and giving Josh Jacobs actual scoring opportunities, he could be huge this year. And we know that he's a talented back who can break tackles and is going to have a pretty good workload coming his way. So I would buy low on Josh Jacobs this week. I've already done it in one of my leagues, and I'm very pleased with the result. Next player on my list is going to be Amari Cooper. Now, the Browns, they struggled a little bit to start the game. They started to move the ball a little bit. I think Amari Cooper is still going to be by far and away the main pass-catching weapon in this offense. While the offense certainly could have looked better in week 1, a lot of offenses looked bad in week 1. I mean, look at the Bengals, look at the Bills. A lot of offenses had a bad week 1, and so I'm not too worried about it. I still think that the Deshaun Watson, Amari Cooper stack is going to be absolute money. So if you have Deshaun Watson, especially target Amari Cooper to get the stack, and even if you don't, Amari Cooper can still be a very, very good wide receiver this year. I still think that he has the upside to be a low-end wide receiver 1. So I would target Amari Cooper coming off of a bad week 1. Next and final player on my list is going to be DJ Moore. Now, the Bears looked absolutely terrible in week 1. This was not what we wanted to see from the Chicago Bears. In fact, it is slightly concerning. But what we do know is this. DJ Moore is by far and away the number 1 wide receiver in this offense. Their run game is going to be good because of the fact that they have talented backs in the backfield. They have a quarterback that can run the ball. This offense will be efficient. This is not going to be just a terrible offense like it was last year. And DJ Moore is the main weapon in the offense as far as the pass catchers or really any offensive weapon outside of Justin Fields himself. DJ Moore is the biggest weapon in this offense. And he's going to get a good workload, a good opportunity share. We know that he has tremendous talent, 4.4 speed. Speed creates big playability. Everything's going to be fine for DJ Moore. Coming off a bad week 1, I would target him because right now people are giving him away for scraps. And this is a guy that you had to take in the 4th or 5th round of drafts. And now you can sell a player that you got in like round 10, whoever it may be, for a guy that you had to get in round 4 or 5 before the season starts. So take advantage of DJ Moore's bad week 1. Buy low on him. He's still going to explode this year. Right now, you can get him for absolutely nothing. All right, guys, make sure to target these guys in the trade market. Hope this video helped. Peace out. Bye.